2.4, converting rates and measurements. You may use your calculator. We want to convert meters into feet. We're looking at our conversion sheet, and we're looking for meters to feet. We have a conversion right here of going from meters to feet, metric to American units. We're going to use 1 meter equals 3.281 feet. The conversion is 1 meter, M, equals 3.281 feet. This is similar to what we have been doing, except we want to convert meters into feet. We're not trying to simplify a ratio. We're not trying to simplify a rate. We are converting meters, metric, into feet, American units. So I'm going to make a fraction with 14 meters over 1. And I'm going to multiply to it the conversion that we have. I want my meters to cancel, leaving feet. So if meters need to cancel, that means 1 meter goes in the denominator to make our meters cancel. And that leaves 3.281 feet in the numerator. And before I start multiplying, I want to make sure I have the right units. My meters are going to cancel. And if I look across the numerator, I have feet. In the denominator, there is nothing for a unit, so we are in feet. It needs to be in the numerator. Now I'm going to use my calculator to multiply 14 times 3.281. And we get 45 we're going to round to the 10th place. And we get 45.934. 14 meters equals 45 and 934 thousandths of a foot. We have 30 centimeters over 1, and we're trying to convert to inches. We're looking for a conversion from centimeters to inches, metric to American units. Centimeters to inches. 1 centimeter equals 0.3937 inches. I want my centimeters to cancel, leaving inches to convert into. So 1 centimeter would have to go in the denominator to cancel, and that leaves 0.3937 inches in the numerator. I'm going to cancel my units to make sure I have what I'm looking for. And I see that inches are left in the numerator, which is where it needs to be. Use my calculator to multiply. 30 times 0.3937, and we get 11.811. Next, we have 300 miles into kilometers. So we're going from American units to the metric unit. American to metric, and we're looking for miles and kilometers. Miles and kilometers. 1 mile equals 1.609 kilometers. All right, 300 miles times, I want miles to cancel, so 1 mile would go in the denominator and 1.609 kilometers in the numerator. I'm going to cancel my units, and I see that I have kilometers left in the numerator. 300 times 1.609 is 482.7. $300 miles equals 482.7 kilometers. That's how to convert from American to metric and metric to American. The Russian space station Mir orbited around Earth at a rate of 463 kilometers per minute. There is my rate right there, 463 kilometers per minute. 463 kilometers per minute. To the nearest whole mile, how many miles per hour was this? We want our final answer to be in miles per hour. So I'm going to come over here on the right and I'm just going to write that down. I want my final answer to be in miles per hour. That helps me to keep track of what I want my final answer to be. If I look in the numerator, I have kilometers and I need miles. If I look in the denominator, I see minutes, but I need to convert that into hours. So we're going to need two conversions here. That means I will be multiplying two fractions. Let's find those conversions. We need kilometers and miles. Kilometers into miles is metric, and we have it right here. 1 kilometer equals 0.621 miles. So we have 1 kilometer equals 0.621 miles. And then I need to look for minutes and hours. Well, I don't think I need to actually look at my paper for that. We know how many minutes are in an hour. We have 1 hour equals 60 minutes. Okay, I have my two conversions. I just need to get them into the fraction correctly. I'm going to start with canceling kilometers. I want my kilometers to cancel because I need miles in my final answer. That means I'm going to put 1 kilometer in the denominator to have my kilometers cancel, and that leaves 0.621 miles in the numerator. I'm going to cancel kilometer for kilometer, and that leaves miles in the numerator, just what I needed. Now I want my minutes to cancel. So minutes are in the denominator. That means I need to put 60 minutes in the numerator so that it will cancel with the minutes in the denominator, and that's per 1 hour. If I cancel my units again, minutes for minutes, now I'm going to take a look in the numerator and see what I have for a measure. I have miles, and in the denominator we have hour. So I have miles per hour. Now I'm ready to do the math. 463 times 0.621 times 60, and then 1 times 1 times 1. Well, I can figure that one out. We know that it's going to be 1 hour. And then using my calculator, we have 463 times 0.621 times 60. And we get 17,000 that said to the nearest whole mile. I'm looking for a whole number then. So there's a 3, and that's not going to round the 1 up. 17,251 miles per 1 hour. All right, so here it says convert using mental math. That means no calculator. We are doing something a little bit different here on the bottom. We are converting in metric only, and that is where this chart here comes into play. At the base, here is the base or the unit, and the base is meters, grams, and liters. That's what's at the base. And depending on what unit of measure I'm in, here is meters, so this would be decimeters, centimeters, millimeters, or decameters, hectometers, kilometers. If I'm weighing something, I would use grams. So we have grams, and then we have decigrams, centigrams, milligrams. Or we have decagrams, hectograms, kilograms, and that would be the same for liters as well. So here we are. Our base can be meters, grams, or liters, depending on what you're in. And then if I'm trying to go to if I'm in meters, I'm trying to go into decimeters, all I gotta do is multiply by 10. If I'm in meters and I wanna go to millimeters, then I'm gonna multiply by 10 times 10 times 10, which would be 1,000. I'd be multiplying by 1,000, which means I'm moving my decimal. The same would be true if I wanted to go to the left. If I'm at decameters and I want to go to hectometers, then I would divide by 10. If I'm at grams and I want to go to kilograms, then I would divide by 10, divide by 10, divide by 10. That would be dividing by 1,000 and moving my decimal 3 times to the left. Let's practice some of this. We're trying to go from 2 millimeters to centimeters, millimeters to centimeters. I am going to divide by 10. Dividing by 10 means I'm going to move my decimal once to the left. Here's my decimal, and I'm going to move it once to the left. That would be 0.2. So 2 millimeters equals 2/10 of a centimeter. We're going to go from meters to decimeters. So we have meters, the base, and going to decimeters. I'm going to multiply by 10. 30 times 10 is 300. My decimal is here at the end, and when I move it once and fill in a 0, it becomes 300. So 30 meters equals 300 decimeters. Next, we're going from meters to kilometers, meters to kilometers. Meters is the base, and we are trying to go to kilometers. That means I'm going to divide by 10, divide by 10, divide by 10, or dividing by 1,000 and moving my decimal 3 times to the left. Here's my decimal on 400 at the end, and I'm going to move it 3 times. 1, 2, 3 times to the left, and we get 0.4. I don't need those other zeros. Centimeters to meters, centimeters to meters, the base. I'm going to divide by 10, divide by 10, which means I'm dividing by 100, and I'm going to move my decimal twice to the left. Here's my decimal, and I move it twice to the left, and I get 0.36. 36 centimeters equals 36 hundredths of a meter. Now we're going to go from kilometers to meters, kilometers to meters, kilometers to the base of meters. That means I'm going to multiply by 10 times 10 times 10. Multiplying by 1,000, I'm moving my decimal 3 times to the right. Here's my decimal on 3, and I move it 3 times to the right. 1, 2, 3. That means I need to fill in zeros. And I get 3,000 meters equals 3 kilometers. We are going from hectometers to meters. Here's hectometers, and I'm trying to go to the base of meters. That means times 10 times 10, or multiplying by 100. 2.2 multiplying by 100 means moving my decimal twice to the right. Once, twice. And I have to fill in a 0. 220 meters. Centimeters to millimeters. Centimeters going to millimeters means I'm multiplying by 10, moving the decimal once. When I move the decimal once, I get 33.4. Now, here is something that you may be familiar with and you may not be familiar with. This is called scientific notation. This says 6.23 times 10 to the third power. 10 times 10 times 10. 10 times 10 times 10. That's 1,000. That means I'm moving my decimal 3 times. I move it 3 times because I'm multiplying by 10 to the third. 1, 2, 3 and I fill in a 0. And I get 6,230. Converting scientific notation into standard notation. Scientists like to use scientific notation when they're looking at things that are really, really big or really, really small. Really, really big would be looking through a telescope out into space. Looking at something really, really small would be looking into a microscope and looking at
cells or atoms.
That's why we like to use scientific notation. We don't want to have big, long numbers describing those properties.